All right, awesome. So thank you so much, Alex, for joining me today and to talk about ApprovalMax. To begin, can you please introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about yourself and your role at ApprovalMax.
Sure, absolutely. Thank you for having me here, first of all. My name is Alex Kesselman. I am a solutions engineer at ApprovalMax, and I'm been here for eternity almost. I'm like a part of the furniture in the company. I think when I started, we were only 10 or 12 people. So now we're more than 150, and I barely know maybe half of the company. So yeah, it's been a long time, but I love it.
That's awesome. And can you tell me what ApprovalMax is and what problems it solves?
Sure. So ApprovalMax is a platform allowing customers to build robust financial controls for both accounts payable and account receivable. So when it comes, if I'll put it in simple words,
Yeah.
when it comes for approving of your bills or purchase orders or maybe sales invoices, typically customers tend to have just an email thread where they will send the email to approve it, and then it gets lost, in all of these mailboxes and different junk mails. That's the problem we're trying to resolve here. So rather than you'll be sending all of those multiple emails trying to figure out where exactly and who exactly is supposed to approve it, you can build a process where everything will be routed to specific people based on the rules like maybe amount or account code or supplier name, whatever.
Mhm.
And then it all becomes so much more convenient because users can just approve all of their bills via mobile app or via email notifications, via Slack, in the browser, whatever they prefer, and they will be only seeing things that you allow them to see, you allow them to approve. So it makes it super easy and super fast to approve your bills on time.
That is awesome. Very much needed. I know definitely with some of our clients that have more complex approval processes or needs, that can get really cumbersome if you're in, either paper format where papers are moving around the office and people are signing them or stamping them or via email. So
Yeah,
that's awesome.
we actually had a story some time ago. We had a customer from Africa and they're managing different farms across the continent. So they used to just send emails from maybe a farmer will send an email to his supervisor and then it goes to the main office. And it usually would take them around 2 weeks to approve a single purchase order.
Oh, golly.
It's like for eternity. So then they've tried to implement some kind of a tools and they came to us and they wanted to build a robust, workflow, how to make it all much more effective. So
Yeah.
now it reduced the time from these 2 weeks in just a couple of days, or maybe in some cases just a couple of hours for
Yeah.
approving all of those purchase orders. It's really made a lot of difference for that business.
That's awesome. We've certainly seen in our business because we use Approval Max with a lot of our clients that we're able to get, if something comes up urgently, we're getting it into Approval Max, into the accounting software, QuickBooks or Xero, and then out through Pluto for payment we can do that within an hour, no problem, so long as everyone's ready to go. Like it's very straightforward. And you're not working the whole time. It's just start to finish. The process is pretty quick. That's awesome. So aside from farmers and some of my clients, who is this app best suited for?
That's a very good question. So in the sense, we are very industry agnostic. So
Yeah.
we work with pretty much any industry there on the market. It's more about when you have very specific challenges. So let's say if you're very heavy audit ready, so you need to provide all of these documents maybe to the government, you need to be prepared, you need to have strict policies within the team. That's when ApprovalMax really come in handy because you can build these processes. You will know what is exactly going on. You have these
Yeah.
audit reports, you have these audit trails, you have request version history. So lots of additional things that goes with that, allowing you to prepare for audit check within just a couple of hours, maybe a couple of minutes.
Yeah.
That's one thing. On the other hand, when we have maybe a bit more complex businesses where you have different departments, different people approving different things, rather than doing that via emails, you can just build a process for that for all of these different departments. And then it's, again, just makes it so much easier for these companies to keep control over their business. And also for accountancy and bookkeeping firms,
Yeah.
some of them really, well, you've probably been in the situation when the customer want to want you to do your part of the job, but they're not doing their own part of the job. So
Yeah.
they're not approving those bills on time, and you're just waiting for a deadline, and it's already you need it today or maybe even yesterday, and it's
Yeah.
never there. So then that's where accountants or bookkeeping firms actually asking their customers, all right, we need to add Approval Max on top of the whole process that you have already.
Yeah.
So then we'll have it all on time, and we'll be doing our job on time, and you'll be happy.
For sure. Because there's really good notification. That's a really good point because nagging is the least favorite part of my job. And so if we can automate that stuff, that makes me happy. So because aside from email, you have a app, right? So it can send, is it push notifications, right? For
Correct. Yeah.
to
I
nag
remember
the
this.
business owners. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember this one time we've been on Xerocon Sydney, and a guy came to the venue and came to us. He's like, guys, you see what I'm doing? He showed us his mobile app. Like while I was going to the venue, like 15-minute walk, I was just looking at what requests I'm receiving, approving. Now I'm done for the whole rest of the day. I can just enjoy the show.
That's awesome. That's super cool. What would you say is the wow factor or like the kick-ass factor or feature that everyone is just blown away by that you're best in and that you're best in class for?
I'd say that's the core of the whole business, our workflow engine.
Okay.
That is something we've been focused for the past 8 years. That's when ApprovalMax was actually built. And
Yeah.
we were making all of those little tweaks and making sure that it's all working properly fine. And anyone, even my grandma, can understand how to build all of these workflows. So it's very straightforward, very easy to use. You can build a very complex workflows in just minutes. You don't need to, hire any implementation managers or
Yeah.
maybe asking for some specific support. You can just do that all by yourself. So that's one big thing that a lot of companies who are maybe struggling of building all of these workflows in some other software, they're coming to us, they see the way it all works, they have a free trial, they build the whole thing by themselves. They've never even have to speak to us. They can just do everything by themselves and start working with ApprovalMax.
For sure. Which I recommend that they do anyhow, because you guys are nice people, but it's kind of nice if the implementation is easy.
It actually came when I just joined the company. Since we were only 15 people, we simply had no capacity to, to speak with each and every
Yeah.
customer. So we wanted to make it as simple as possible as a self-service platform. So anyone can just, start a trial, build a workflow. If they have a question, then they can just shoot a message to us and we will help them, of course. But otherwise, it should be very, very simple to use.
Oh, on the approval pieces, that's a really good point too, because there are other applications out there, right, that do some level of approval workflow, but I find a lot of them only do one level, right? So
Right.
you might get two if you're lucky, but they're not able to handle the complex matrices that happen in organizations. And I feel like if you're needing approvals in an organization, it's always going to be slightly quirky. Like it's going to be this person unless it's in this account, and then it's this person, or it's going to be this class unless it's in this situation where, so having a much more complex and flexible approval engine is, I think, I agree with you, is really the wow factor there, because it's kind of like you either need that level of complexity or you don't need approvals most of the time, right?
Correct.
That's awesome.
You'd be
And then
surprised. You'd be actually
Mark?
surprised to see how many companies out there try to copycat our workflow engine. We've seen companies who are trying to exactly build the structure just like we've built, the same workflow engine. They failed, and we've seen, I think, around maybe 20, 30 examples of
Wow.
companies trying to replicate what we've done already. So it looks very simple from your first look. So you can easily build all of these workflows by yourself.
Yeah.
But if you would like to build something like that, it's actually quite a complicated thing.
It is. It totally is. Yeah. I mean, from a simplicity standpoint, if you're working in a brick and mortar location and you need to take a piece of paper and walk to a different part in the building, that's actually quite simple. But to try to replicate that in a system when there's all the different if this then that's, it's actually quite complex. And then, okay, aside from the engine, what do you think are some of the top loved features that you hear from your customers that they absolutely appreciate?
Weirdly enough, one small feature, but I found a lot of people having like a little wow factor when they see that. We have a feature called the delegate. So if someone is going on vacation and they would like to delegate that work to someone else from the team,
Yeah.
they don't need to go to the workflow and rebuild the whole process. They can just select who should be the delegate for that person, what should be the start date, what should be the end date. It takes 2 clicks to select who should be your delegate, and that's it. So it works like magic. It's super easy. Both people will receive notifications, and now you can do your work without any interruptions. That's one little thing, and for some reason, a lot of people found that fascinating.
One of my clients actually brought that up at our last client meeting. I'm not making this up because they had so many team members on vacation over the summertime. And so they were dreading like having to go in there and readjust all the approvals. But a lot of people a lot of people have banked vacation right now because they weren't taking vacations for a while, right? And so a lot of people are taking more like 1 week, 2 week vacations. And then all of a sudden we have like approval workflow fails, but the delegation piece was something you loved. Okay, what are the top on the other side of the fence? What are the top requested features? Or if you want to share anything that's coming down the pipeline soon that you can share with us, I'd love to hear that.
Sure. There was actually 2 main products that we released recently. One was ApprovalMax Capture, which is a built-in OCR solution. And from the other side of the spectrum, that would be ApprovalMax Pay, our payment solution. That is two big, let's say, mountains of what we're working on right now, though ApprovalMax Pay only available for the UK market just yet. And something to share with you maybe on a pipeline that we're, of course, planning on releasing that for also for other markets as well, for international payments. That's something that we're working on a lot. And the reason actually for all of those different tweaks and additional features that we're adding, like OCR and payment and maybe a review step that we just recently released, I will talk about that later.
Yeah.
Because we are using ApprovalMax our own very heavily. So we've built this product not only for our customers, not only for their benefit, but actually also for our own benefit.
Amazing.
We are working with all of the bills that our suppliers send to us. We're working with, we're raising purchase orders if someone is going on the conference and we need to purchase all of these different marketing things. So we're using that ourselves, and we're paying bills by using ApprovalMax Pay. We're extracting the data from incoming bills with ApprovalMax Capture. We're doing that for ourselves mainly, and that's why we're adding all of these additional things that can help not only us, but also for the benefit of our customers.
That is amazing. I'm very excited for the payments to come in. That would be great.
Yeah.
Focus on Canada. That would be lovely.
I wish.
That's great. And because you've got the approval engine there, you should be able to help with the segregation of duties, right? Like there is a fraud risk in having the same person responsible for uploading, making sure that the bills are approved, and then paying there, right? So if you're able to
Absolutely.
have some good workflow there,
yeah, absolutely,
then that would be awesome.
That's actually one thing what we hear a lot. Some customers, they're saying like, well, we have a very trusted team, and that's actually great that you're trusting your team, because otherwise that will be kind of strange.
Why are you working with them?
Trust. But on the other hand, 80% of fraud actually happens not from externally, but internally from the team members that are working with you. So having segregation of duties, not giving access to everything to just one people's hand, but rather segregate them in different parts, different team members, different maybe department heads, CFO, CEO should be looking at different parts, makes it just, you'll be on a much more safer side at the end of the day.
For sure. Fraud is, I feel, something that we don't talk enough about in the accounting industry. It's kind of like, oh, that's left to the auditors, they do their checks, yada, yada. But as firm owners and people who are supporting our clients, I think it's something that is, conversations that we should be bringing up a heck of a lot more. In my years running Entreflow, we've actually seen a lot of fraud, mostly with our clients. I've had one case internally. They didn't do any fraud with Entreflow, but they did with another firm that they were also contracting with at the time, back when we had contractors. But so it can happen. But with our clients, we've seen a lot of fraud cases, and they are always the people it's always the last person anybody would expect. And usually the recipe for fraud is, somebody who's got deep knowledge and understanding of the business, work in accounting, very easy to figure that out. And they have maybe something bad happen in their life or the family or something, bad things come up, and there was an opportunity for them to solve a pickle that they were in by temporarily borrowing funds from the company and hoping to be able to sort it out later. Like that's textbook case, typically speaking. You also get the entitled people who think, oh, well, so-and-so is getting paid more than me and I should be getting paid more. I've been here for a long time, blah, blah, blah. And then the entitlement fraud. But oftentimes
intrusive thoughts.
Sorry?
Those intrusive thoughts.
Yes, exactly. But it's very common. And so it's not about not trusting your team. It's about not trusting anyone, to be honest, and creating a space where, you trust them as people. But as far as your controls go, you assume that anybody can commit fraud for whatever reason. They're all good people. But for whatever reason, something's come up for them. And then you have a safe environment from which to work from. But
and even if we put the fraud aside, just a simple mistake might occur. So someone can just raise let's say, or create a PO or maybe receive the bill, and just something has happened and they added additional null into the bill. So now it's not £10,000, but rather £100,000. Yes. And that's makes a huge difference.
And I'd appreciate if I was the recipient, but
there was actually a little story internally, because we do have an approval process when someone is going on a conference. We need to book flights, we need to book a hotel and things like that. So we're raising the request for that. And there was like a little mistake when we were booking flights or booking hotel. Our travel manager, she selected not the week that I need to go to, but rather a month. And it went through 2 approval stages. Everything was fine. No one noticed the mistake. And then it came to the 3rd approval stage. And it's like, hey guys, it seems like odd, but Alex don't need to go for a whole month. He probably needs to go like on a week. Probably his wife will want to have him back home in a week rather than in a month. So yeah, we've noticed that, and it was just a simple mistake. It was not intentional.
For sure. There's also a lot of phishing going on right now too.
Yeah.
And I don't know if other people find this, but as accounting firm owners, that we're definitely targeted for phishing, right? Because we've got people within the company who have access to pay bills, right? And some of them are getting very, very clever, very clever.
Yeah. Just yesterday, I've seen on Twitter, there was a tweet asking, it's like, hey, I'm trying to figure out a name for my daughter. Can you give me maybe your grandmother's name? So maybe I'll make something out of this. And then there was a community note saying, this is the data mining phishing scam. They're trying to figure out, well, that's one of the common questions for the passwords. So don't reply.
Wow, that is scary.
You would never think of.
Okay. Wow, that is scary. I don't want to go down that route right now. That's pretty scary. Okay. Moving on. How does ApprovalMax empower entrepreneurs?
Sure. Since we are startup ourselves,
yeah,
we know ourselves that one of the major challenge for any new business, any small business, is to have a discipline. Discipline where you spend your money on, where you're buying, how would you actually keep your money in place, and what is your cash flow? Because otherwise you can go down to bankruptcy very, very quick.
Yeah.
And systems like ApprovalMax and some other systems out there for adding this financial control system is actually helping you with that. And some of these businesses, new startups, they are all thinking, all right, we are too small for now for such kind of tools. Maybe we'll do that later down the year. The problem with that approach, that it's actually much, much harder to be reactive when something already happened and you need to fix that. It's much harder to fix things rather than to be proactive and add all of these layers beforehand, before something has happened. So my advice here would be actually, be proactive in your approach, have a discipline on where you're spending your money on, and do not trust people, too much.
Little healthy bit of mistrust. Okay, and then lastly, what advice do you have for business owners? Aside from, maybe you just summed that up right there.
Yeah, I think that's there is some.
Okay.
But yeah, always seek for new. Look at the market; it's ever changing. Just a couple of years ago, we've never heard anything about AI, just like maybe in science fiction movies or in books. But now it's all around here, and there's lots of new things coming up on the market. So try to learn new things all the time and be ahead of what's going on, because otherwise you can get left behind. Sure.
Definitely find my chair. Yeah, thank you.
So what we're seeing here is the main work frame. That would be the main place where you're building all of your workflows. And basically the way ApprovalMax works, it's a two-way integration between ApprovalMax and your accounting system, which might be either Xero or QuickBooks Online or Oracle NetSuite or Scene 7 Core. The whole idea how we build these workflows is very, very simple, something that I've mentioned previously. If you'll take a look at one of these workflows, it doesn't matter which one, because they all look alike. We'll find 3 major elements. The left-hand side, how we're going to create or streamline our documents into the system. And you have many options here. You can either pull that, let's say from Xero in my case. You can create your bills in ApprovalMax. You can use our built-in OCR solution. You can email them into ApprovalMax. You can use the capture via mobile app. Or if you're using Dext, you can connect your Dext account to ApprovalMax. You have a variety of different options.
Awesome.
But the main part actually happens within the middle side of the screen. That's where we're building our approval steps. So something that I've said before, that you can build these workflows just by yourself and without having any technical background. To prove my point, let's imagine that we would like to create quite a complex workflow with everything will be approved first by the regional managers, then maybe by the legal department, then maybe by the CEO and the CFO of the company. So it sounds quite complex, but you'll be surprised how easy is that to build such workflows. Just click on the plus sign, it creates an approval step for you. You can easily rename those approval steps in case you need it. So make it a bit easier to navigate through. Then just simply add as many users as needed. There's no limitation on the number of users. You can have as many as you want. And the main part actually happens within the approval matrix. This is this little table icon. When we open this up, what you will find is different columns, which is the data points from your Xero or QBO or NetSuite account, such as the list of your suppliers. If you have any tracking categories, you will find them here. In my case, I have a region, your chart of accounts, items, taxes, so on and so forth, or just simply based on the amount thresholds. And then based on these users, you just decide what exactly your users are allowed to see, what exactly they're allowed to approve. So let's say Allison, she's allowed to approve all the bills from the West Coast. Chris will be approving everything from the East side. Jim will be approving everything from the South. And I will be approving everything from the North. And that's how you apply these rules. And in case you want to make it much more complex, for the second approval step, let's add a few more steps. Let's say if it's over or equal to £1,000, then it should be sent to these guys. Otherwise, it should be just sent into Xero. And you're now creating this segregation of duties. For the higher amounts, should be going to the senior management. If it's low amounts, then it can be just approved by the regional managers and then sent into Xero. So then, once you've built the whole process, for our users, it's even easier. Because for users, those who will be making approval decisions, they have just simple one screen. It's called Requires My Decision. And it's all the same here or in your mobile app. And here you will find everything that is awaiting your approval. So you won't see all the requests. It is just showing you what's exactly awaiting your approval. On the right side of the screen, you will find the actual details about the request, including all of your line items. If you have any attachments, you can see them in side-by-side mode. You can see what is your actual approval workflow at the moment. You can communicate between your team members. You don't need to send emails in case you want to, find out some additional details about the request. You can just use the add symbol, select who you would like to mention, and provide a comment like, please take a look. And now the person will get notified. They can reply back to me. So we have one single place for all of your approvals. And if everything looks fine to you, you can just click on approve. That's the whole process. It's that easy to make all of these approval decisions from here, from mobile app, from email, or from Slack.
And when you approve, that's then going into the accounting software, correct?
Correct, yeah. So once it is fully approved by everyone from the team who's supposed to approve that, it automatically syncs with your Xero, QBO, or NetSuite account. But most importantly, actually, for every request that we're approving, something that I've mentioned previously about having this auditability of the process, we are generating audit reports. And these audit reports shows you exactly where the request came from, for which organization, and mainly here within the approval log, you can see who made, let's say, review process, finished the review process, who approved it, under which approval steps, what was the date and timestamp for that decision. You'll find exactly the same audit report in your Xero, QBO, or NetSuite accounts.
Awesome. The data is stored at the transaction level, basically.
Correct, yeah.
Awesome. That's great.
And if you actually, during the approval process, you've made some change to the request, we also keep a full history of all of those changes. So you can see what was the original document, you can see what has changed, and you can see what exactly is going on.
Golf balls are very important.
Correct, yeah.
That's awesome. Okay, great. Anything else you want to share?
I think, well, in a nutshell, that would be the way it all works. Of course, there's a couple of additional things here that I can spend hours and hours talking about the way it all works, how the OCR part works, how the payment side works, though it's only for the UK, how the internal reports working and things like that. But I would actually encourage everyone who's seen this video to try it out themselves. Since we have this free trial, there is no credit card required, so they can just play with all the amazing ApprovalMax features. If you have any questions, you can always refer to us. We'll be more than happy to assist and show the way it works. And every week we're also doing weekly webinars explaining how it all works and how to build these workflows.
Okay, maybe can we include the link to your webinars in the description? Okay.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'll leave a little space for exploration part, so people will be exploring that we have budget checking as well. Oh, we have some built-in reports. Amazing.
Excited about the budget checking. Awesome. Listen, thank you so much for joining me today, Alex. It's very great to have you here to answer all my questions. And it's nice to see you again as well.
Yep. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me here today. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Awesome.